Okay, we are live streaming on Facebook. We are recording. Welcome everyone to our Hormone Harmony event. We as a team do these events every month, and our goal is to just educate and elevate the conversation around our health and our hormone health specifically. So tonight we is by popular demand. After last month, we talked about lymphatic drainage and toxin load. And Kara had reached out to me and was like, "Well, if you're talking about that, make sure just be careful how you're presenting this." And we thought it would be so fun to have Kara on tonight and actually just talk to us about the how-to, like kind of like an experiential hormone harmony tonight. So we're gonna dig into dry brushing and lymphatic drainage massage and exploring a little bit more in depth on how we can support our natural detox pathways in our lymphatic system. So Kara is a member of our team. She's an advocate at Hue and Grace, but she is also an expert in this. She has, I'm going to just read her stats because I don't wrong, and she's amazing. She's a business expert and mentor, an integrative nutrition health coach, and Reiki Master and teacher. She has her certification from IIN, yay, and
Hey.
integrative nutrition health as an integrative nutrition health coach. She also does animal Reiki. I have a lot of those. I might have to reach out to you about that. And she specializes with her work within lymphatic drainage and digestive flow facial reflexology. Like you are a wealth of information and so excited for all of us to learn. Our goal is to really keep these, just really focused. So I'm gonna zip it and pass the mic over to you. You have full license to take us through anything, like whatever you have planned for us tonight. And at the very end, you guys will you can put questions in the chat, and if we have time, we will do Q&A at the end. Sound good? All right. I'm gonna pass the mic over to you.
Hello, everybody. I'm so glad to be here talking about one of my absolute favorite things, lymphatic drainage. It is a wonderful self-care practice that is easy to do, it's inexpensive, and it's just super easy to integrate into anything else you might be doing to improve your health. So for today, for expediency's sake, I'm going to be kind of quick going through things. We'll also work on some areas together, and then we'll wrap up at the end, and hopefully we'll have some time to answer any questions that you may have. So I'm going to dive right in. And so the first thing is, let's put together rules 1, 2, and 3 for you to make lymphatic drainage super duper simple. So rule number 1 is order. We always want to go in the right sequence, and we want to open up what's called our termini. And our termini is where the lymphatic fluid drains. And that is right above our collarbone. So I'm going to bend here. And if I were to scrunch up my collarbone and you see this little indent area here, that's your termini. And that's where you're going to want to start no matter what type of lymphatic drainage you're doing. And then from there, we move away to the next closest location. And that can be, if you want to work your lymph node up here, it can be here, or the next one is here. But we always want to be moving away from your termini. Now, this plays directly into rule number 2, which happens to be direction. The direction we're moving the fluid is also super important. We're always moving the fluid towards the termini. And then from there, we work our way down. And this is a way of clearing everything out, anything that could have any stagnating lymph fluid, and then we pull it back up to the termini. And then rule number 3 is pressure. This is one a lot of people get wrong, including myself. When I first started to practice, I thought digging or moving around made it better. And in actuality, you don't want to do that. The lymphatic vessels actually that we're trying to influence lie directly below the surface of the skin. So the amount of pressure that we're putting on is very light. So we want to think about gliding like a feather or just slightly touching the hair on your arm. So not gliding, not pushing, not poking, okay? And then when you apply all these 3 rules, you're going to get so much better results. And that's what we all want, right? So now from here, now that we've got these rules, we're going to go to the locations, and there are 7 of them that you can massage or activate is what I like to say, to open up and get the lymph flowing. So number one is, you guessed it, the termini, which is right here. Number two is right here. Three is along your bra line or bra strap line, right outside your armpit area. Four is in the depth of your armpit. Five is going to be in between the tip of your sternum and your belly button, right in the middle. Six is going to be moving from your hip down your pelvis. And seven is going to be behind both your knees. So 7 areas. And I want to invite you all to do this with me so that we know how to do it. So we're going to take our ring finger and our middle finger, and we're going to go very lightly, and we're going to pump right here. And you want to pump anywhere from 10 to 50 times in every position. Again, we're going to do it really quick and move. So we're going to start here. We're going to go up here. Now, one thing, if you don't really like the pulling down motion towards your termini, I have a tendency to like to glide my skin, go down like this. So do whatever feels right to you. Then you move over here and you do this. So I crisscross, and once again, middle and ring finger, do it like this. Then go underneath your armpit, do it like this. You can close. And again, I know it's this fast. And then you're gonna go tip your sternum and your belly button, right in the middle. And then you're going to do a motion really soft up. You can also rotate if that feels better to you, or do a combination. I like to do a combination. And then you can go down, and again, always moving upward towards the termini. And you can do this a couple times. And then go behind your knees. So it looks like that. And then that is it as far as the different spots, or the main spots that you want to be working to activate your lymph. Now, the fun part, dry brushing. Dry brushing, you want to make sure you always have a natural bristle brush, and you do want to cleanse it fairly regularly. The best way to do that, if you haven't done it so yet, is stick it in a little bit of water, use your Hue and Grace bar, rub it around, soak it again. You don't want to soak it up by the wood, but get it partial bristles and then let it air dry. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, let's start with dry brushing. And you guessed it, we're always starting at the termini. So we're going to go back up, pump this area first, and then we're going to put on our brush. The key to dry brushing is to start and do really, really small strokes. And you're not going to be doing it hard, so you'll do here, and then you're going to move under your armpits and move around the joint. Now, our joints often get a lot of fluid buildup. So, work the area well, work it down here. And again, you're going to be doing anywhere from 10 to 50 little strokes. So now that we've cleared this whole area, we're going to start moving the fluid back up. Okay. And then we're going to move it once again up towards the termini, move it out of this area, up towards the termini. Next area we're going to go to is your abdomen. So we're going to start underneath, again, small little strokes, okay, and get the entire abdomen. If you feel compelled to, you can go around in a circle. And this is really good for gut health. If you're constipated, this is another one that's good for you. Then for back, you're going to go around the back this way. And again, short strokes, bring it around the side. You're going to do it on both sides, but on this side, clear it out, bring everything up to the sternum. Same thing on the other side, bring it up. And then you're going to start working down from your hip bone down to the pelvic area on either side. Now, I have a tendency to go on one side and then the other. Again, you can do what kind of feels right to you. And then you can go anywhere, around. You're going to want to work the buttocks and the hip. Go entirely down your leg, front of the knee, back of the knee, top of the foot, and then bring it back up. When you bring everything back up, you're going to want to work this area again and pull it up to the abdomen. So pull all the lymphatic fluid up, and then you're going to be pulling it out of the abdomen up towards the sternum. And then that's it. So it's pretty simple. And again, the practice is wonderful. It also helps with immunity. It helps just clear everything out and helps your body function better. A couple things that you do want to keep in mind is if you have a compromised lymph node, or if you've had cancer or a removal of a lymph node in the breast area, you're going to want to avoid bringing all the fluid into the lymphatic fluid into that area. So in that case, let's say you've had a lymph node removed over here, you're going to move up, and instead of moving things kind of down in this area, you're going to move it across to the other side where there's healthy lymph, or you're going to want to move it downward towards your gut area and then move it up. You also want to be careful of times not to do lymphatic drainage is when you have a fever, and two, if you have acute symptoms of anything going on in your system. Let your body rest and repair and then go back to it. And then outside of that, that's it in a nutshell. So I'm going to kind of hand it back over and let me know if you guys have any questions.
That was so great. Okay, I was just brain dumping questions as you were talking, so I have some there on a stream of consciousness. But let's see first what questions are out there. We have so many people on live right now. What questions do you guys have for Kara? And I'm a big fan of the awkward teacher pod, so I'm gonna let it be awkward. That's for you to break the ice and unmute or put it in the chat.
Look here. I'm not seeing anything yet.
So remind us, so when you say we're moving fluid, what does that mean?
So moving fluid, we're moving the lymphatic fluid. So because in society today and just modern lifestyles, we're sitting a lot. We're also traveling in our cars. We're not walking as much. We're sitting behind the computers. And when that happens, lymphatic fluids has a tendency to stagnate in certain areas. And then also what happens is you get it clogged. So if you're working in the wrong direction, let's say, because I've seen a lot of influencers and I've also seen charts saying start dry brushing from your feet. The reason why we don't want to do that is because if you are congested, so let's say you're congested in your groin region and you're following, starting at your feet moving up, that fluid isn't going to move anywhere. It's going to get stuck and it's going to go back down, and you're not going to see the progress you want. So what we do is we clear away any clogs, if you will, make it so that it's a freeway as opposed to being stuck in traffic, clear it, and then come back up and actually get the lymphatic fluid moving. Now, one of the reasons why we do this is because our lymphatic system doesn't move unless we're moving. So that's why we want to pump. That's why we want to dry brush. Some other key things, you can put your feet up a wall. That's a really good way to get lymphatic fluid moving just naturally. You can do Tai Chi and Qigong. You can also do shaking, which is also a Qigong thing. So, and there's just so many ways, but once you get it moving, it can improve immunity. It's also known to improve cellulite. It also improves gut health because it improves your motility, meaning food coming in your mouth and sitting and being processed in your stomach. It doesn't sit for as long. It actually moves out more quickly, which is what we want. We want our body to be able to efficiently detox.
Love it. Okay, Shelly just asked, great question. How do you know when you're congested?
Love that question. So one really easy way to know this is, let's say you're getting a lot of headaches, or you're getting a lot of bloat, or you feel really inflamed. Or you can also look, a really good trick is lift your armpit. If you feel really puffy through here and don't have a deep indentation, you're retaining water and your lymph fluid is not moving as efficiently as it could. So then you're going to want to do a practice. And typically, I'm going to recommend do it in the morning. I learned the hard way when I first started, did it kind of whenever. And I learned you don't want to do it at night before hopping in a shower or bath, because it actually wakes your system up, and then you'll be wide awake in bed.
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, so that just answered someone else's question as far as when is a good time. What about if you have scars, like C-section scars, surgery scars? How do you need to treat that when you're dry brushing or even massaging?
I would avoid going over the scar itself. I would go around it personally. You don't want to aggravate an area, especially if it's a new scar. You don't want to do any kind of dry brushing if you have like any open wound, if you have eczema, psoriasis. You don't want to aggravate the area. So I would avoid it. I would stick with doing like the pumping. It's kind of a more neutral practice, if you will. Or if that's not your jam, like I said, shake your arms, shake your legs. I mean, we look at like when we pet them and they kind of do the shake thing. Think of that. And I mean, I know it sounds silly, but it works.
I love it. How often do you do this, or do you recommend doing this?
Ah, like that question too. So I've been doing it off and on 20 years, probably. I've been good, and I go in spurts. So, but going into menopause and having some horrible symptoms and trying to regulate my hormones, I started to do it every day. And, the average recommendation is maybe like 3 times a week. But again, if you're having some issues, whether it be gut, whether it be hormones, or you feel like your system just needs a little assistance, I would suggest doing it every day or at least every other day.
Okay, awesome. So to follow up that, Cody just asked, so you mentioned if you're suffering from acute infection to not focus on as much on the lymphatic drainage and wait until you're doing better in recovery. Can you explain a little more about this?
Yes, because you don't want to overload the system. The system is when you are sick and it's trying to help your body heal or get rid of whatever is going on in your system, it really needs the downtime to rest and repair. That's why we say, don't continue working out. You need that downtime for your body to do its thing. Our bodies are very, very smart. However, if you're working an area, let's say that you have tonsillitis for a lack of, just picking something. And I start working this area. Well, it's already inflamed. It's already, working overtime to help my system out. Me releasing the floodgates is not going to help it. So in that case, I would just say, try to move around a little bit, drink plenty of fluids, and let your body do its thing. Once you start going on the upward swing, if you feel like that could be beneficial for you, then do it. But if you feel all of a sudden you try it and you do it, let's say 10 in each section, and you're starting to feel really worn down, you've kind of overloaded your system again and your adrenals. So you don't want to be doing that.
Makes total sense. And it was Julie using her husband's computer. So it was Julie that asked that great question. So that. Okay, so gua sha, we do sell the dry brush at Hue and Grace. We also sell gua sha stone. One of the questions is it also a type of lymphatic drainage? And if so, are we to move those glands a specific way as well? Is that something you do too?
I also do gua sha, yes. Yes, always start at the termini. If you watch a lot of Cecily Braden's actually a really good, she was one of the people that brought it to the United States. And always start here because this just opens everything up. And then, do the gua sha on the face. There's full body gua sha, which I have not done myself, like gone to a practitioner and had it done, or I should say a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, but I have heard that kind of hurts. So, but you can take your gua sha. I have done it before. I also have another tool that I use to do it on the body to move fluid. So yes, you can do it. And yes, open the termini, absolutely.
I imagine that full body gua sha is kind of like rolfing, where you're like really digging into your tissue, and that, like, yes, that's very painful.
Yeah, a little bit more.
So
yeah.
You guys are asking such great questions. So Courtney asks, I have had a lumpectomy with nodes removed. Is avoiding that area all I need to be aware of?
I would, but I would talk to your care team because depending on what was going on in your body, I would just double check with them for safety reasons. I'd also look at your body like as in quadrants. So if you were splitting, down the middle and then kind of across, how should you work that quadrant, move things over? And for instance, like I've had tonsils removed and my adenoids removed. So I'm still going to work the area. But like when I do gua sha, I don't just bring it down here and leave it for this lymph to deal with. I pull it back down to the termini. And again, like what I had discussed is like bringing things over and across or down. The lymphedema specialist that I worked with and just talked with before, it's just, you want to pull it across and away from that area so as not to overload the lymph nodes that are already stressed, because you most certainly don't want to, if you're fighting cancer or you still have cancer cells in your system, you do not want to be spreading that throughout your body.
So what is the function of a lymph node for those of us that like maybe don't know that?
A function of a lymph. um, it's to really help your body detox. It supports your liver, it supports your pancreas, it keeps things moving when we're moving. It goes back into your circulatory system, your blood system. So that's why it's so important to clear things out and help it. What the way that our liver or our bodies work, our liver prioritizes. So the main detox vessels are the gut, the liver, the pancreas. And what it's going to do is prioritize what needs to be removed from your body first. And in some cases, that's not necessarily going to be inflammation. If we've had long-term inflammation, it's going to be maybe something else like a cold, so it's going to be working on other things. And then as we become more toxic, more fluid builds up, etc. And so if we're actually moving the lymph and helping it, move and giving the liver a little bit of a break, then we're more apt to be able to move things out of our system more quickly.
I love that. You're amazing. And not to mention the liver also, like we can really like load it down and compromise its own functioning. So it might not
Oh,
even be able to function at full abilities, right? Like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
learned a lot about like just even the fact that I was taking Tylenol chronically for headaches for years and years. My functional medicine doctors were like, well, this is why your liver's suffering. So,
yeah.
not able to perform. So, okay, I have a couple quick, just these are easier ones, I think. What's the significance of the two fingers? Like why the middle and ring fingers?
Because we have a tendency not to push as hard with those two fingers. If you do the pointer finger, you really have a tendency to dig more. You could do, I mean, I've done kind of all of them, but those are the ones that they always tell you to do. In the case of going down, the side of your neck or just pumping, we're a lot more gentle with those two fingers. So yeah, it's nothing major.
Total sense. So I know none of us are naked here. Maybe some people are, but we were doing that over clothing. But
Yes.
is that okay to do it over clothing? Is it better to do it on bare skin?
No, you want to always do it on bare skin. The
Okay.
dry brushing is definitely on bare skin. Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Why 50 pumps or so? Like what's that? Is there a secret sauce to that number or that target?
There really isn't. I mean, it's anywhere you want to do at the very minimum 10.
Right.
And then 50. And I do it kind of intuitively, and that's how I teach my students to just say what feels right to you. As long as you're doing 10, my magic number seems to be right around 30 to 40. And I do a combination. I noticed better success when I'm pumping, and then I do a little circular. um, that's just me. And again, it's healing and health is so individual. So I highly suggest kind of testing out what you think works for you. The other thing to keep in mind is consistency. The more consistent we are with it, the better the results are going to be, right?
Yes. Okay, so two more questions. And then if anyone else has some. So this came to my head when you were like talking about how your stomach, if you're like constipated or you have a tummy ache, what would happen if you're like just went straight for your tummy, that spot, and you skipped the foundational piece? What could happen there? Why is that not a good idea?
Um, you're always going to start here to open things up. You don't have to go and do the arms. You can definitely go in different areas. If I'm not feeling like I need to do something up here and I'm really guided to do gut, that's where I'm going to work. I think it just really depends. There isn't any right or wrong. It's just you always want to be moving away from the termini, and you always want to be pumping upward. That's the rule of thumb.
Love it.
And
Okay.
like for anybody, like I've had leaky gut before. So when I had that and I was trying to get my inflammation down, I was always doing this and I was really focusing on the gut area.
And then what's your breath? Latanya just had a great question about breath work, about breathing as we're doing this. Is there any tips or guidance there?
Yes. So deep belly breaths automatically help the lymph move. So I love that question. So anytime you can do like in through the nose, out through the mouth, and just really stick your tummy out, lay down and do it beforehand. That's just a natural way to do it. Um, there's no special sauce, if you will, or special way to do it. Again, I'm just like, I breathe in, out as I'm doing it. I personally just do it so naturally. I don't even think about it anymore. But yeah, like I actually like to drop what I call dropping into my body, especially when we have all these different things taking our mind, or we're got the monkey mind going on. I will sit for 1 or 2 minutes and just do some breath work. And then I go and do this practice. Or I could be standing and putting makeup on, and I decide, okay, a couple deep breaths, and then I start, pumping and do whatever I feel compelled to do, and then call it good.
I love it. Okay, so my last one, as a Healing Grace advocate and with all of the other hats that you wear, what products do you feel like are really that you incorporate into your work the most or use the most that have the most impact that you like to recommend first to clients or patients?
My number one, I love the body oil. Partly because I have dry skin and I just love to use it after I do any kind of body work whatsoever. It's also good for keeping mosquitoes away. So that's my number one. I love the morning pills. I've noticed a difference. I'm a big, big fan of anything with milk thistle in it because it helps support the liver and detoxification, and it's super gentle. Trying to think, and I do have another one. Oh, and collagen. Collagen is my new favorite. I swear by it, and I've been just plunking it into my herbal tea every day and drinking it. And part of the reason for reincorporating collagen back in was I started to see with my hormone changes going into menopause, a lot of hair breakage and some hair loss. And I was like, I have to figure out what to do. And so one of the things is I added the collagen in, and I feel really, really good about Hugh and Grace's product. Ben and Sarah do their research, and I truly trust them and what the product does, and I'm witnessing it firsthand. So those are my top three.
Love it. Well, thank you so much. This was like my favorite call yet. You were amazing.
Thank
Um, Whoever invited you can get you the recording, or if you want to learn anything else about any of this stuff, you guys, so reach out to whoever invited you this call. Thank you, Kara. I hope I get to meet you in real life at Elevate soon. So,
Yeah,
but we can talk about that. But thank you for your time. I know you're traveling right now, so that was so special to share with us tonight. Thank you.
thank you, everybody. Have a good night.